Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Of Mice and
Wolves. Ah, woo!
There you go.
Yeah, for those of you who have been out there and haven't watched our show yet, this is a show about indie creators having struggles in the industry with comic books, and we're here to workshop those said issues. I think without further ado, why don't we start bringing in our guest?
All right, very nice. Jeremy, how you
How you
doing?
doing?
Please introduce yourself.
My name's Jeremy Vinar. I'm working on current comic. It's called Bounty. It's about a customer service rep who dreams of being a bounty hunter. Issue 2 just got funded on Kickstarter, so that's what I'm working on now. But in the past, I've done Perils Ahead and Perils Below, which is a series of graphic novels I did, and this series called Roll Your Way, which is like a choose your own adventure style book, but instead of choosing, you roll a die to determine what the story is. So, yeah.
Cool. What's up, Fred?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Good, man.
Doing great.
Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Fred Schwartz. I am the writer and creator of Fisticuffs. We got our first Kickstarter campaign for books 1 and 2 finished a few weeks ago. Right now we have late pledges active, but right now we're developing the campaign for book 3 as we're setting up fulfillment.
Nice. Very nice.
Very nice. All right, cool. We're short one guest. He may show up later, I hope. We'll see. All right. Rob, you started, man. This is your thing.
Yeah. All right. So, gentlemen, the way this show works is we're going to start with the questions. So each of you are going to run through your issue, if you will, that you're having in the comic book industry, and then we're going to ask some clarifying questions to kind of figure out, what you've done, or what maybe like if it's not as clear, to try and figure out what's actually going on. And then once everybody's kind of gone and given their little questions and kind of gotten that clarification, we'll then jump into kind of like the answers of the to kind of like say, okay, well, this is what we think you should do, or what you could do, or what we've done, kind of like helping through, and kind of like a roundabout brainstorm sesh, if you will. So usually we kind of do a clockwise, so that would be Jeremy. You would be up first, sir. What are you struggling with in the comic book industry that we can help you out with?
Yeah. Well, the main one I've been thinking about a lot lately is trying to find like a literary agent who does like graphic novels, and not only that, but like the sort of themes or genres that I do. I've never done that. I've never reached out to any kind. Don't really know like where or how like to find. I've done some like internet research, but I don't know. There's so many, and I'm kind of just at a loss as to how to reach out, how to pick them, what to say, just all of it. Yeah, so I haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
All right.
Does anybody have any clarification questions for Jeremy before we kind of hop on into this answer section?
As far as like, I mean, obviously you're looking for somebody fancy, but I mean, what type of literary agent are you looking for? Are you looking for like a big New York agent that's going to saddle you up with maybe hopefully a big New York publisher? Or are you looking for an agent that's maybe going to put you together with a comic book publisher, like a Dark Horse or an Image, that sort of thing? What type of agent are you looking for? Because there are different types.
Yeah. Same with like if you're looking to get into like movies or cartoons or TV, whatever, those are all going to be
right.
I don't know enough to even know what I should be looking for. I mean, I have some graphic novels. I think they're I have a range of all age. I think so. Like they could work for something like a First Second or a whatever. What's that, Boombox or whatever? Those sort of things. But some of them could work for like a Dark Horse too, I suppose. Like, well, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I should be looking for. It's all kind of new.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I guess good question for you. Why are you looking for one? Like, what do you want them to do for you?
Yeah, no, that is a good question. I guess I am tired of the. I know this is kind of antithetical to the podcast, but I'm tired of the trying to do the business part of the indie comic part. I'd like, I'd be okay if one of them wanted to take 20% or 15%, whatever it is, and find a publisher that's willing to publish one of my books, and sell them and stuff. Like, I guess I'm tired of the trying to just do it on my own, I guess.
You're tired of the indie grind.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll get there at some point.
Yeah. So, all right, Fred, do you have any questions for him before we move on?
Well, actually, Rob, you kind of took my my clarification question was going to be like to what end and stuff. But I'm actually very curious about this question too, because it's something that I was, very interested in too. I'm kind of like Jeremy. I don't know where to begin and stuff. But I guess what I'm kind of really interested in is what you guys were saying is like the film and TV aspect of it. I know that's like a wish dream and a pipe dream, but I had a really awesome trailer that came out for my comic and stuff, and it kind of tantalized the imagination of like an animated or something like that. And I just, in that aspect, I'm curious about how that would. So I guess I'm seconding his questioning, and kind of saying that, like, yeah, that aspect, like, I would like to hear more about.
Okay. Well, I guess, this is pretty straightforward. So, JD, I believe you have the most experience with something like this. I have a couple comments to kind of say to the publishing and finding a publisher to take care of the workload. I have a few things that might be a little saddening for all y'all.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let JD handle it first.
All right.
I'm here to learn.
As far as finding an agent, I'm believe it or not, Jeremy, I'm in a similar boat to yourself, right? I've been doing the base research to try to find an agent, right? Because I'm looking to get something for Oswald. I want to get it out to a larger market. And what's funny is I'm not looking to get into like Dark Horse or Image or any of those companies, right? I'm looking to get into an Abrams or a Scholastic or something like that along those lines. Right, it's more of a, similar to yours. Mine's is YA.
I think that would be a better fit for most of my stuff, to be honest.
So what you're gonna have to do is similar to what I'm doing. I'm in a process of searching out agents. The other process is you have to come up with a really good cover letter, right? And you're probably gonna you're gonna get some people who are gonna be mad at you, all right? Because this is what I'm gonna do, and there's certain camps that think certain ways. One camp will tell you to approach one agent, send them a cover letter, see what they want, right? Because certain agents, I've seen lists, they'll tell you what they like or what they don't like. Well, the things they specify what they're involved in. Fantasy, science fiction, so on and so forth, romance, blah, 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 right? And then, but some people will tell you only do one agent at a time. Some people will tell you do 50, do 1,000, do them all, and whoever gets you gets you.
And let them battle it out.
Right, let them battle it out. Exactly. See who offers you the best deal, or who can do the best for you. Because you're going to have agents, and this is literary agents, right? So you're going to have some guys who are going to be out. You have literary agents in New York, a lot of them, because this is where a lot of the big publishers are at. I'm out of New York, so that's why I say it like that. But you also have literary agents out in Chicago, LA. A lot of these major cities have other agents, right? And they're going to have other different types of contacts to other publishers. The bigger ones are probably going to be here in New York, but that doesn't mean there aren't other big, reasonably sized publishers in other places. So they do exist, right? But yeah, I would suggest you have to come up with a really good cover letter. And I would tell you, for everybody, it's probably the one time you want to use AI. You go on, you write out your own cover letter, up into Chat GPT, see what it spits out, and then your dog's hilarious. You adjust it to what you need. You understand? You're gonna have to do a full edit on it no matter what, because it always comes out kind of like portions of it are gonna be really nice, and then portions will be just trash. So you're just gonna have to go in and really go in and edit. So that's one of the things. Anybody who uses ChatGPT, listen, it's not just you have to go in and edit those damn things, because trust me, if you don't, it's just garbage.
JD, when you
sorry.
No. I was just going to say, when you say cover letter and reach out to them, are you talking like, where do you get the contacts from? Is it like a physical cover letter, or like a physical letter and a physical submission?
No,
or is it
it's
emails?
I don't think anybody takes anything physical anymore.
Right.
I think everything's gonna be digital. Yeah, everything's gonna be digital. I don't have the information readily at hand, but I did a Google search, and I said, find literary agents, blah blah blah, for graphic novels, and there was one specific site where it seems like they're big, and they had a huge list of literary agents. You could just go out and contact
on that same list. Yeah.
Because and the thing is, they're looking for people. They want to find the new Bone. They want to find the new whatever. I mean, they want the new Dogman. Trust me, they want this. That doesn't necessarily mean it's us, but we can try. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
In that cover letter, I mean, is it just a cover letter, or do you feel like you need to include samples, or the cover letter essentially just kind of like giving them an idea, like a description of your story, your books, and things like that?
Yeah, you're gonna want to include, obviously a quick description of who you are and what you are, where you've been, and blah blah blah. But you're also gonna want to put in what's the basis of your story, but just quick 1 or 2 lines. You probably don't want to write them a novel. You want to keep it short and very brief, maybe a half a paragraph, right? Okay. The whole cover letter. And then you're going to want to send that into them along. And here's the thing. Some of them are going to want cover letters. Some of them are going to want a query letter, right? So a query letter is where you're literally asking them, are you looking for anyone? Gotcha. Right? Are you looking at, like, this is what I have. Are you interested? And they're going to answer yes or no. They're going to say, send me a few pages of your book. Right, and that's the other thing. You got to be ready with the packages. Sure. So you got to have, whatever you're selling, you got to be ready. So you have stuff that's like role-playing games, and I guarantee you're gonna find one person who's gonna be like, well, maybe I can't do anything with your kid's book, but I can do something with that role-playing game thing. So you might find that person, and then you might find another product, right? So you just have to be ready for that.
I'm gonna have probably a lot of follow-up questions, but like for me, for instance, like I have like 3 different series that I've worked on over the years. Like, is it overwhelming? Is it too much to like put all those in, or should I like try and cater?
You want to keep that narrow focus on, like, because each, as JD was saying, some of them are going to have different genre interests.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you want to keep that like really like focused on the one per,
All right. One.
Like,
I would say put your best foot forward. Unless you find a bunch of different genre things that work for you, but like, definitely like if like, let's say 9 out of 10 of them are what towards your kid's book, right? That's what you go towards. But if like you want to pick your best story, your best stuff, and you put that, but you want to make sure you find the right place for it. You don't want to put it's kind of like that whole like you don't want to put a square peg in a round hole kind of situation.
Yeah. You don't want to send your kid's book to a romance literary agent, you know what I mean, or horror literary agent or something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Another avenue for finding might be so I don't know if you know Gamal Hennessy. He's within the community, but he's been a lawyer for Marvel. He does like kind of like a how-to kind of like with self-publishing, like do's and don'ts books kind of thing, more from like the lawyer side of things. Okay. But like he would also be a good one to ask, because he does like free consultations, kind of like because to gauge whether you could use him and he likes you as a client or whatever. But like he could also like kind of maybe potentially point you in the direction, or maybe even help you with like the legalese of that kind of a situation. Because it's also, you're going to need a lawyer to look over any offers you get.
Sure.
Right. So that's why he's good in this wheelhouse. That he would basically, if let's say he puts you or you put him on retainer or whatever for this, he could give you suggestions who to send to. But then when they give you an offer, he would be the one that would help you kind of be like, okay, this is a good deal or a bad deal. Because none of us are lawyers, and
Sure.
I know we all want to be like, we want the best deal possible, but like, that's usually like, I want 100% and you can screw off. But reality of the matter is like, there's obviously going to be give and take. And he probably would be able to tell you, this is a good offer, this is bogus.
Right.
Makes sense.
But what I was going to say about the whole like finding a literary agent to get you into a publisher to lift some of the load, majority of the publishers out there are not going to do that. They're still going to expect you to do the work.
Oh, I see what you mean.
They basically were saying, we're going to put our insignia on your book, but you still have to make the sales. You still have to promote it. We're just putting it in our category, our library. Like Image, it's creator owned, so you got to do the work. A lot of the smaller publishers, they're all the only ones that like aren't creator owned. Like if Marvel or DC like you enough to pick you up, yeah, they'll do some. They're going to do a lot of the legwork for you, but you're also going to get upkiss on royalty. So it's kind of like that give and take. That's I think why a lot of indie guys kind of stick with like the whole self-publishing thing, unless they get a really good deal somehow with a publisher. I mean, like I know with Bad Bug, all right, that's another small, very small. Like I mean, they're probably a step above me, a step below what Scout used to be. But they like Mike will work out deals with you. He'll do a lot of the promotion, a lot of the Kickstarters, a lot of the stuff like that. So like there are some out there, but that's few and far between. Plus, it also depends on the deal that you make with them. How much money they're gonna get versus how much money you're gonna get. You don't just get to. Unfortunately, we don't get to sit back and just do the writing, because if that was the case, we'd all be doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing with a literary agent, though. Those agents are going to be looking to get you in advance. Okay, because they're like I said, if they're going for the big publishers like Scholastic or Abrams or the other large ones, they're going to be looking for an advance. These days, the advances are going to range anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for someone who's new. So it's not a lot of money. The only thing I could tell you, there's two ways to approach that. You take the money and you run, because usually they don't expect you to earn out. And what that means is sell enough copies to cover that amount, because they have to cover that amount before they give you any royalties.
Right.
Okay? So now, mind you, you could get your agent might be really good. They might get you a $50,000 advance. They might get you a $100,000 advance. There's still people getting $700,000 up to $1 million advances. Okay, if you got one place and they feel your book is hot and they have two separate publishers bidding against one another, that number can go up. It can get really high, right? But one of the things I would advise, one of the things I'm really being mindful about, like if I were to get a $10,000 advance or $20,000 advance, I would probably, for me personally, and because I'm a bit of a lunatic, I would probably take that entire sum and invest it in a publicist, so that they will go out and promote the hell out of that book for as long as that, whatever amount of money that is, can push it as far as they can push it, so that hopefully you can earn back, and you'll make some money on the back end on royalties. Because then if you can get to the second book, that's another round of royalties. I mean, that's another round of a first, the first, you're going to get that first bump. And then you're going to see more royalties from that first issue, right? Because they say whenever a second issue comes out, you always see more from the first one.
That makes sense.
Especially in that type of publishing. So I mean, but listen, man, it's tough. I mean, nobody's gonna tell you it's easy. No one. It's tough. I mean, it's like I tell everybody, I'm gonna go that route. I'm gonna collect my 100 rejection letters, and then I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it works out differently for you, but I do what I gotta do.
Appreciate it. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Fred, you got anything?
Yeah, I do. So my question is like mostly about like growth, right? Like I just completed my first Kickstarter. I'm very happy with the way it turned out.
Cool.
It's a two-part question, right? I would like to know, number one, how do I come back with like a stronger campaign besides just do what I'm doing for the next book, which is coming up soon? And then my other question is like, how do I grow out my projects? Because right now I have this book, Fisticuffs. It's a 6-issue miniseries. We just completed Kickstarters on 1 and 2. 3 through 6 are drawn. I'm just going, it's kind of a weird situation, but like, it's complete. So I'm just going through the coloring and lettering now. What I would like to do while that's going on is try to get some other projects off the ground, but I can't really go about that the same way of like initially funding everything the way I did this book. So what I'm really, really asking about is how do things like revenue sharing work? How do you approach somebody? Like, is that a viable option for somebody that's kind of new to this and kind of trying to grow out my catalog to be kind of like where Jeremy's at, where I've got, 3 or 4 different projects that I can show people?
Okay. Let me, real quick. Are you married?
No.
All right. So go out, marry an artist. That's what I did. It worked.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it worked. All right. But
Okay, so
than that, I don't know what to tell you.
Part D, can you like explain to me how that works step by step? Because my game is, I would call it rusty, but I don't think it ever worked. So
Gotcha. All right. I mean, that's a much more prolonged. It'll take longer than this hour and a half.
it's a series of these.
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to hit the concert.
And
But Mary Rich, check, got it.
aside from that, question-wise, for clarification, Jeremy, do you have any clarification questions for Fred on this matter?
And forgive me, I don't know your full story. You're the writer.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Writer, creator, self-published. Yeah.
Okay, and so you're mainly asking about getting artists or whatever on board without any upfront money, I guess, or very little upfront money, or like I guess that's kind of the question, really.
Yes, like and I'm not saying no upfront money, but it's like ideally, yeah, I would love some kind of like revenue sharing partnership. Now, I've kind of asked around a little bit, and from what I hear, like, I've heard like varying. I guess I'd rather just hear what you guys say, rather than what I've heard.
That was my clarification.
But yes,
I understood the.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I think that's my. I get it now. Yeah.
If there's a way to get off the ground, like with a little bit of seed, and like, how do I develop that? And are people willing for that? Like, are they open to that, or is it just people go where the money is?
Okay.
All right. I mean, yeah, it seems pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to jump? Do you want to jump? Jeremy, you have anything you would like to add real quick?
I actually have a little bit of experience with this on the artist end of it.
Go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. It's been many years now, but I did have a writer contact me years ago to do some. Well, I guess there were 2 different types of projects. One was just a short story, and she just outright paid me to do the art. It wasn't going to be an ongoing thing. I would have no rights or any or residual or anything from it. And she wasn't paying a lot, and I am not well known, so it was kind of acceptable what she offered me, and I did it. The other project though it wasn't a full story. It was actually a pitch for that she was shopping around. That one she did not pay me for, but it was one of those things where I had worked with her. I liked working with her, and she said if it did get picked up, then we would split the royalties there. And I was okay with that because it was only, I think, 4 or 5 pages for the pitch. So it wasn't a ton of work, and I liked the story. If it got picked up, great. I'd be happy to do it. And it wasn't a ton of work for me to have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a full-on issue or multiple issues or a series of 6 issues, that's a lot. I would, in my mind, to ask an artist to do based on possible residuals later.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that's probably too much for my personal situation. Yeah. I would need some kind of money, I think. Whatever that is decided upon per page or whatever. But anyway, that's my opinion. Not from a lot of experience. It's certainly not from that year end of it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say so from personally, from my starting point and asking artists and talking to artists, a lot of the people, all of them really, flat out said, "No, you have to pay me. I don't want royalties to your unknown book. I want paid."
Yeah.
Basically, all the answers that I've ever gotten. Though I have heard of others. So Charlie Stickney, when he started White Ash with Connor Hughes, I believe from my recollection of the conversation I had with them, they had Connor got a kind of he gave Charlie a discount. So he got a discounted page rate, but he was also getting royalties on the back end.
Got it.
So he was getting something, and I can't attest to how much that actually was, whether it was a 60-40 situation. But whatever it is, they agreed upon a flat rate per page, per cover, and then whatever royalties was offered to him. That was something they agreed upon, but I think in most cases, unless the artist already has a full-time job and this is something that he just loves to do and the story is amazing, doing it, only getting payment on the back end is a really tough sell. Because as getting money on the back end, royalties for yourself, is highly unlikely because you're basically covering cost. So unless it's the most immaculate thing ever, and the right people, and you're putting it in front of where you're getting a lot of money to pay that artist, it's going to be that's going to be a tough sell. It's going to be a tough go. Unfortunately, I think a lot of it, maybe I said, what Jeremy was saying, do the pitch, for, get those pages done, put it on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I was thinking that I'm kind of have 2 different projects in mind, but I guess what I'm trying to do is figure out how I can build out my catalog while I'm waiting for other stuff to come in. And I was thinking of kind of I have one would be kind of the more traditional Kickstarter thing where I guess you would maybe do a 10-page sample or whatever and try and put that out there. But I was wondering if and I guess the answer is probably not, but a short story type thing in terms of trying to, show different, I guess, genres and that type of stuff. But it sounds to be a...
Yeah. I mean, even so, most people prefer to back campaigns that are nearly complete. However, if you have a track record of having things complete and fulfilling, definitely so that helps in kind of doing the traditional, here's the example, the preview pages, and then once it's funded, then go back and do it. But that also leaves you open to you don't have enough money to produce the rest of the book and print. So either way, it might come out of pocket. Unfortunately, starting out, a lot of us kind of have to dig into our pockets to do stuff. So unless your current series is able to pay for itself, and then you dip back into your own pockets to start another one, or take a little bit from this other one and have it still survive on its own. I would say starting another series is a little harder, unless you're willing to put it up front, or at least a little bit. It's like for example, like with my series Nightwolf, I was up to like issue 5 or 6 before I put out a first issue of a spin-off series. But it was also featuring a character that was very well liked in Nightwolf, and I took a little bit of that Nightwolf money and threw it at Snowpaw.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like that's kind of like, if you can survive doing that, that's great. Otherwise, my suggestion would be like how I started. I was doing freelance work. You know, I don't know what you do for a full-time job, but like whether there's freelance opportunity or not, whenever I'm doing like, I do a freelance web design, graphic design, to make up for the money that I didn't have, and then I put it in there. Hey, Russ. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where like finding the money somehow is better than like gambling, because you then might be like, okay, hey, I just barely got the funding money to put out the art, and now I don't have enough to produce the print.
Then you're in a hole. And I see what you're saying. You wind up paying for it just later.
Yes.
Got it.
So you're going to pay one way or the other. So it's better for you to like figure out, okay, how am I going to get this money up front?
Yes.
Just to kind of cushion you. You know what I mean? Like, because there are this is what, like, a lot of what happens with the people who like, who have had really gangbuster campaigns, but like, then they don't actually make like, so like they have a bunch of people back it, right? They start their funding goal, like let's say $1,000, like, or lower, like, because they want to try and game the system. But what they really need is $10,000, but they only end up making $3,000, right? Like, then they like don't have enough to do anything, and then they can't fulfill. And then, or there's the opposite case where somebody makes like thousands of dollars, like, over 10 grand or whatever, but none of the art's done. Somebody like the artist stops, takes the money and run, and then they can't pay another artist to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's these, then they're the ones who can't fulfill their campaigns, or they're like, and everybody like then turns on them and like, I want my money back. And but then he can't because the guy took the money,
and it's already spent to the artist. Yeah. Understood.
Good.
All right. So, there's a few different ways. I've been doing this for a little bit. So, when I first started, a long time ago, I was a kid, right? So I was like 18, 19 years old, just out of high school. A friend of mine went to art and design. Like I said, I'm in New York, so we had art and design high school. And he brought me over there, and I made friends with a lot of his friends. And one of his friends said, "Listen, man, I'm going to bring you all the best artists from my class." And that's what he did. That's how I met my wife. So that's how I met my other partner, Matt Lunsford, and a bunch of other guys, Zach Lenison, all these different guys. I met all these different people. And I said, listen, I want to form a comic book publishing company, and we're all 50-50 partners. The project is, so Matt Lunsford, he has Dreamweavers. Daphne, that's my wife, she has Tall Tales. Well, my other friend, Zach, he was, him and another guy, Poi, it was a 3-way split on a book called Reaver. Another guy had Security Agent, so on and so forth. But we were all kids. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know we were not going to make money.
Yeah.
Right?
Got it.
But the beauty in it was that was those relationships that I built with them, right? And we did make money, though. Okay? The only thing is that since we were children, we didn't know what we were doing. So we were producing a book a year, like in a series. So we had a 6-issue limited series, and issue 1 came out in 92, and issue 2 came out in 93. So, that's just, you just can't build a business that way. But we did make money on those books.
Right.
And that's the thing, though. So you have to so one of the ways you can do is you can find an artist, try to find somebody local to you, right? Maybe, if you have an art school around you, try to find a student. Say, listen, this is what I'm trying to do. And you can offer them a little bit of money. So, whatever, a nominal fee.
Yeah, like an internship.
Right. Yeah. And you can say, we'll be 50-50 partners if you're willing to have that kind of thing. And, I said, listen, I'm going to pay you this up front when this capital that I've already paid you is paid out, right? Just like the book deal, then on the back end, I'll give you half of whatever's actually earned, right? And depending on how much you make, depending on how frugal you are, you can make a buck. You know, I mean, you can, you know, if you can chop up a dime, you know, you can do something with it, right?
Right.
A nice thing too, to kind of play off the student thing, is that like if they're like a couple years, like a year or two left, they can put that towards their portfolio. They could use it for a project for school,
right?
You know, just they kind of sweeten that deal there, you know.
Yeah.
And mind you, you don't have to work with just one person, right? I don't know your writing. I don't know your writing style. I don't know what you're doing, how you're doing it. Like, you know, you could say, you know what, I'm gonna write. You write a single issue, right? A one shot. Let's make it 48 pages. Let's say within that 48-page structure, you have, let's say, 10 scenes, right? And you say, you go to a class and you're like, yo, I have a little bit of money, right? Whatever it is, a nominal fee. And if you could find 10 decent artists in there, you can give me each a scene. And you can cobble together a comic book. You know, you're a very strange, weird looking comic, but it'll be a comic, right?
Or like even an anthology of like 10, you know, a bunch of little 10-page short stories.
Right. You can do
I
like
think
that
that's kind of what I'm getting at. Cause like I did this big project and like a lot of reasons that like I did it that way and stuff is because it was like a really personal story. And it was, you know, just one that was like, we have those baby projects and stuff. And like, you know, I guess like what I'm getting at is like on my like, you know, laptop, I got a few of the kids that I don't like as much. And, you know, they're like, not that they're like, you know, worthless kids. They're very good kids, but like, I like that one the best. So I'm trying to figure out how to maybe get, you know, some of those kids off the ground and like, you know, while I'm, you know, without, you know, just, I guess like an alternative way, you know, and like I don't want to, you know, I realized after I asked that question, I'm like, holy shit, did it just seem like I said, how do I get like away with getting people to work for free? Because that's not like my MO. Because like, you know, I understand that's not how it works at all. But like, I guess what I'm saying is like I was trying for, I guess like maybe more alternative, you know, methods and stuff of, you know, for some of those like short stories and things that are just kind of collecting dust that I don't really know what to do with right now.
Well, an anthology is definitely a good way to do it because you could work with multiple artists in a shorter page range and kind of build your portfolio that way. But it also is a bigger book, which on Kickstarter would make a little bit more money and have more people that would help promote it. So, you know, if you kind of like pick and choose like artists who are known on Kickstarter and, you know, work with them, that's kind of like what George O'Connor did a similar thing where he wrote a kind of a post-apocalyptic of different types. And if that was like that, it basically kids, I think it had something to do with kids fucking up the apocalypse. And it was a bunch of different apocalyptic tales with kids fucking things up. You know, like, you know, the zombies are coming and the kids like sneezes or he starts talking, you know, like kids do, you know, you can't tell them to be quiet, like, but then the zombie comes and attacks, right? Something I think that was like the premise of, you know, one of the things. But like he handpicked every single artist that he worked with because he wanted to get one to work with them and two because they had enough name to pull in, you know, backers and stuff. So that's definitely one way to do it is curate your artists, you know, for that. And like, I actually had thought about doing something similar along those lines with my other titles that have been kind of hanging out in the backside as well. I mean, I have them on my website. They make an appearance in Nightwolf #2 just as kind of like to show the share world, but I haven't had the time or the money to produce them. But I have been thinking, you know what, I could do a quick, you know, I could do a Kickstarter with a quick, like, kind of like an intro to them as an anthology, you know, kind of the thing, just to kind of like get that out there and then see, you know, which, you know, art team people like better or which story people like better, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, that's definitely something viable to do. And it might also, like, it would put probably, like I said, you can bring all those backers in from the, you know, the other people that you're working with and not just having like your single art team.
Yeah, because that's what I'm talking about. Growth is like I'm still like trying to show that trying to like, you know, build my web and like also kind of portfolio build, because as a writer, like it's I don't know, like in some ways I think it's like kind of like hard to build a portfolio, especially if like I kind of always wrote larger kind of like stories and stuff, and like it's harder to get like something like that all the way off the ground, and I guess show diversity in what I do.
Well, another thing too, to break that up, like maybe to not do it in one. If you want to like help to spread your diversity in your story as well as your reach, putting multiple stories in multiple anthologies by other creators is a big way to get your name out there and for people to recognize you and then say, oh, he's launching a Kickstarter. I loved his story in that book. I'm going to come here. So like, and each like anthology group kind of has their own like thing. Some, for example, Cat Calmeo and Phil Falco, they pay you. They pay you as a writer. You get paid for writing a story if they like your story and they include it in one of their anthologies. Whereas other anthologies, they'll probably like you will have to pay your artists, and then you get back end royalties and comps, or you get enough comps that then you can sell them to get your money back, or you could buy comps at 50% off and then sell them at Comic-Cons to make money back. For example, I've done the Cthulhu Invades Wonderland by Travis Gibb. I have a short story in that. I paid my Nightwolf team to do that. I've been making money off of the books that I got and pay more for wholesale at every con, like that Cthulhu book sells. So like I'm constantly going, hey Travis, I need more books, which he probably loves because he's sitting on a pile of stock. And I did another one with Clay Adams, The Nightmare Theater. And these are only a few anthologies that I've done, but there's many anthologies that are out there that you just got to find what fits with the story that you want to write. Work with the artist, get your name out there, or say, hey, I need an art team to do the story. Sometimes they pair you together, So that's another route to go to build your name and put you further into the community as well as the community's overarching fan base.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Helpful.
Well, good. That's why we're here.
But pretty much. I think one of the other ways is, if you find an artist you strike up a good relationship with, and you find that you're simpatico with, you can sometimes approach them to do a 50-50 deal where it's all on the back end, which I've had several of those deals. One of those artists I had to marry, but
and now everything in his life is 50-50.
Pretty much. But hey man, it worked out.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, you can find artists, but like I said, you just have to find that person that you gel with.
Yeah.
And then you find them, you strike that chord, and if they like your work and you like, you just go out there and do stuff. That's it. Yeah. So you just got to find that person. So
cool.
What else? Talk about that type of deal. Yeah, and then then there's just money, right? Tough one. There's just money.
Yeah. Yeah, if it weren't for money, this would be amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoever said you get rich in comics?
I'm gonna lie to you guys. All right. So I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna start with Jeremy's website because you came up first. So because it kind of looks like we're done with the questions, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, everybody good? Yeah, we answered everything?
Yes, I'm good.
All right, cool.
We are missing our other guest, so I guess farewell.
Yeah. So Jeremy, just like recently you did on my show.
Yeah. So this obviously is my website. Like I was saying in the intro, I've got three main series, I guess, that I've worked on over the years. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, on and off. The latest one is that Bounty, like I was saying, the main character is a customer service representative who dreams of being a bounty hunter. So in his spare time, him and his wife go out and start doing some amateur bounty hunting. Second issue was just funded on Kickstarter, so then I'm working on the third as we speak. My first series there is The Perils Ahead. That one was like a fantasy series about a dungeon janitor who cleans up after the adventurers and reads the traps, things like that. That one, there were 2 graphic novels for that one. But yeah, that's my oldest one now. And then the Roll Your Way series is actually one I did with my wife, who she wrote it, and I did the art. And that's the one that's the kind of the choose your own adventure, but instead of choosing, you roll a die to determine what page to turn to. But yeah, all those are available in our shop on the website. Also, I think I still have it up there, but I do like commissions for your D&D characters if you play D&D. I've done some of those in the past, but yeah, that's it.
Nice.
All right, cool. Hold on, I'm on the wrong damn page. Where am I? Don't mind me. I got people texting me.
I know, right? Yeah, everybody's blowing us up. Well, don't they know we're live?
I know, right? What the hell? But yeah, man. I mean, listen, Jeremy. I've said it before. I mean, your stuff is gorgeous.
Thank you.
You know, like I said, I mean, yeah, your stuff is
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely got a nice, unique style.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Let me pull up. The cuffs. Do you want me to play this video?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
My name is Gerard. Before I found my way into these rooms, I suffered from a life-threatening case of the tomorrows. Tomorrow, I'm going to the gym. Tomorrow, I'm going to fix things with my dad. I hate these people.
I'm a bad
What really made you come here, Nick?
I can't accept what happened. When I try to block it out, I obsess. I writhe in my own guilt, thinking I'll eventually get to a place where I'm comfortable. But I don't think that I'll ever get there. A DUI and a prick for a judge.
Oh, I understand. But remember, Nicholas, rock bottom has trapdoors.
Nice.
Thank you.
That's a crazy trailer.
Yeah, how'd you get all the animation? Did you?
Yeah.
I hired somebody, Kamikaze Trailers. Fantastic work. I gave them all the resources, gave them a concept, and they delivered something beautiful.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So, should I explain it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
The floor
Yeah.
is yours, sir.
Sure. So, Fisticuffs is about a functional drunk whose comfortable life is derailed when a one-night stand has deadly consequences. It's most often compared to Preacher and The Boys and the work of Frank Miller. It's definitely a darkly comedic, but also grim, gritty, and deeply personal story. It's a 6-issue miniseries. As I said, all 6 issues are drawn and completed. We're just going through the coloring and lettering on the remaining books now. Funds have been collected. We're getting ready to send things out to the printer, hopefully next week. And then we're going to fulfill and we're going to come back with book 3 this summer.
Looks fantastic.
Thank you. Oh, and the creative team, one of the best thing I found in my life was Stan Yak. He did an amazing job kind of realizing the story. Through him, we found Robert Nugent, who did an amazing job on the colors, kind of developed this really cool, gritty, almost Dario Argento kind of feel. And then Dave Sharp crushed it on the letters, man. It adds like a really dynamic emphasis. So yeah, please take a look. I got late pledges active again until Thursday night at 8 if you want to jump in on the party. And then 3 should be coming soon.
All right, cool.
Very nice.
Looks nice. I mean,
Thank you.
Good. I like it.
Thank you. Oh, that's a preview for something else Stan and I are collaborating on. It's in the baby stages right now, but that's his thing that I'm kind of helping write on, and hopefully that'll be coming later this year.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, dark fantasy, very cool stuff.
Very nice. So is that something you're financing, or is that just something you're helping him out with?
Revenue, we're splitting it. That was his baby, and I kind of went ahead and we're gonna share on the back end.
Okay. Listen, man.
See, look, you already kind of built a relationship like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, when it's that sort of relationship that could help get you're not cold calling people or contacting artists. Now he trusts you. He likes working with you, so it's like he knows what you're capable of and what you can put out. So that's good.
I know. I plan to use him on just about everything I can, but like I just don't want to bog him down with too much, just unload all my kids on him. I don't be that guy.
But he also probably has connections to other artists and say, hey, this guy is legit. This is how I do it with you should too.
That's a good
Cool.
point.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this looks really, really nice. You said you have extended pledges till when? Thursday?
Thursday night at 8. Yes.
All right, cool. So listen, man, if you're out there, go pick up a book or 3.
Hell yeah, we got books 1 and 2 available. Give us a taste, give it a try, and I think you'll be pleased. Like this book is, as I said before, this book is like kind of best served cold. You don't want to, you don't want people to come spoiling you what happens 1 and 2, and that's why you should read it. Best to go in and kind of experience it.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. I like it.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. Real quick, I'm gonna flash up something I'm part of. Tenchi Muyo. All right. So this is a project. Let me play the video.
Hello there, Tenchi fans. Patria Burchard here, the voice of Ryoko, with an exciting announcement. Armature Entertainment is launching a Kickstarter campaign to reintroduce the 1997 Tenchi Muyo comics to readers old and new. For those unaware, Tenchi Muyo started out as an OVA series or direct-to-video release in Japan in 1992. From there, it became popular the world over for its mixing of sci-fi, comedy, romance, and, of course, zany adventures. When it became popular in America, these comics were made to try to appeal directly to American comic fans. This release, Tenchi Muyo, the American Tenchi Continuity Omnibus Edition, combines all 6 issues of the storyline Ryo Oki's Day, created by artist Matt Lunsford and writer J.D. Calderon, into one complete collection. This story features all of your favorite Tenchi characters, including Ryoko, of course, but also Mihoshi's dedicated partner Kiyone, as well as Nagi, Kenoki, and a myriad of other characters, all drawn in a style that's both a throwback and a fresh take on Tenchi Muyo as it used to be. Want to know the really cool part? If this campaign is successful enough, Armature Entertainment can continue the adventures of the Tenchi gang. But now, that's up to you. The carnival comes and goes. Well, it's finally back. So, don't miss it. Thank you all for supporting Armature Entertainment and Tenchi Muyo. Until next time.
Wow, that's actually really cool that they got like one of the voice actors to actually come back and do that.
Yeah, they had interviewed her, I guess, a few years ago, and they got in touch with her, and they just asked her to do it, which was cool. I was like I said, I mean, they're big fans of this property, so it's just like when they got a hold of the rights to do the book, they had reached out to me, and we cut a deal, and I'm part of it as far as that's concerned. We're doing all the signed books, myself and Matt Lunsford. He was the artist. Like I said, when I first started, he was the guy. He was one of the guys I was working with. He eventually went on to do some other work, and he brought me onto that project, and we got onto this project together. So yeah, making those long-term connections can sometimes really pay off. So, and this is based off of an anime from the 90s called Tenchi Muyo. And this particular series is based off of a Tenchi Muyo universe, and that's the portion that I wrote from. But yeah, it's going on. It's on for I think another 26 days. Trying to raise 50K. They're almost at 30.
They're well on their way there.
Yeah. So another 26 days to go. So, yep. And like I said, there's a big fandom. So I was really surprised, which is cool. So we'll see.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah. And then just to let everybody know, because somebody's asking in the show, I said, look, what is it? What's funny is I was just on his podcast earlier. This is Lewis. And then what is it? Link to the campaign. So just to let you guys know, in the show notes, I have everybody's links to their campaigns. So you go to the show notes, click on those links, and go buy a book. All right. So whether it's mine, Fred's, or Jeremy's, go buy them all. That's what I would say. Right.
Hell yeah.
Rob's links are in there too. Get his too. He has awesome books, especially those hardcovers. They're really nice. There you go. Nice. Yes.
Oh man, that is gorgeous.
Hello. Yeah. So I have actually 2 volumes so far, and it's got each one has like the vellum overlay of the werewolf, and then there's volume 2 with Snowpaw underneath, and her. So it's a plan to be like a 3-piece set with the different werewolves underneath, with a gorgeous connecting cover, as you can see a little bit.
Oh man, that's neat.
Yeah.
And eventually when I get volume 3, I'll get a slipcase and you can put them all in.
Yeah. I'll steal Daphne's when she gets them all. That's my wife.
She should have volume 2 already. So
yeah, she has it. So I'll wait till she gets the 3rd one with the slipcase, and I'll be like, thanks. I always wanted one of these.
50-50. So
It does have to be all the time.
it works both ways.
It does. She does it to me all the time. So and I'll be like, not that one. It's like not that one. So but yeah, guys. So I mean, we're here. We got a little bit more time left. So, does anybody have any questions about anything? Rob, you got anything?
Any questions?
Yeah.
Or any issues? Man.
You have a raccoon terrorizing you or something?
What's that?
I said, do you have a raccoon terrorizing you?
No. I just been keeping my head down, busy trying to get stuff. I'm in between campaigns right now. Issue 10 for Nightwolf wrapped up last month. Working on all the tchotchkes for that, getting all the buy-ins, and making sure all the stuff comes in the rewards. And then I'm working with Mog on issue 4 of Snowpaw, so that I can launch that one, if not the end of next month, sometime in June. So that's coming up as well.
All right. Well, I got a generalized question because I'm about to launch an Indiegogo campaign, right? Pray for me. So that's the question, right? Have you guys considered using any other platforms other than? I know Rob's used another one, but you can jump in with that. But do you guys consider using any other platforms other than Kickstarter? I mean, that's the big dog, but there are other dogs out there. So I'm just wondering.
Can I ask what do we call it, like a refining question or whatever? Clarification question.
Yeah.
What are the different benefits to each one, right? Like, what does Indiegogo offer that Kickstarter doesn't? Because like you said, Kickstarter's kind of thought of as the big dog, and it's got kind of a built-in comics community. Why would somebody go to Indiegogo versus Kickstarter versus another platform?
Different audience, some of the things that they do are it's mostly the same, but there are differences. Like they pay, like so they charge the person for backing the project up front, and then they hold that money. Some people prefer it that way. Just different. They were a little bit more different. Kickstarter kind of took some of the things that like Indiegogo had, like the side images in your rewards.
And now Kickstarter allows you to put like a preferred what is it, level on the top.
Yeah,
That used to be an Indiegogo thing.
Yeah, and you could also do hidden. You used to be only able to do like hidden rewards through Indiegogo. Now Kickstarter has a very beta version of that. Would you say that's finalized?
As experienced creators, would you ever consider like launching the same project on both platforms to get both audiences, or no?
Have done that.
Does it benefit you?
So, for me, I started. So I did a Kickstarter in 2016 for Nightwolf. And it was a failed Kickstarter because I went for $20,000 for 3 issues because I was trying to kickstart the series to do a monthly thing, right? So because I went $20K, that was obviously very naive of me. If I would have just done issue 1 and set it at 5,000, I would have funded. I made over 5,000. So that kind of set me back. So then for issue 2, I thought, okay, maybe I'll go and try Indiegogo, see how that does. Well, if I set a lower goal for like, issue 1 and 2 on that, it didn't actually fund, but like Indiegogo, the difference is that you can do either the all or nothing, or you can get whatever you make, right? So just like whatever. For me, I was like, I'm doing it anyway, so any little bit helps.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience with Indiegogo, was doing an actual campaign. Again, I think that one only made like $2,000, not enough to cover everything. But again, I was doing freelance stuff to make the difference. Whereas with volume 1, so the next time I did, once I got up issue 4 and collected the 4 issues into this, I did a Kickstarter. And then because I had to wait over 6 months for it to come over from China, I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. Let's do an Indiegogo in demand, which basically they import the information from your Kickstarter and they kind of like put it, it's like, okay, well, we made this much additional money on top. I'm
sorry, can you just clarify that? How does that work?
So when you set up your page, you let them know that this is actually a previously funded campaign from either Kickstarter or somewhere else, and they'll turn it into an in-demand campaign. So it shows like how much you raised on the previous platform and then how much more you raised additionally. So basically you could use it as a pre-order to raise additional funds, which kind of is like, I did that. And then I also do a backer kit pledge manager. So I also have like that doing, so at the time, like I had different ways to like, get people in different doors, but like, I would still say like, no matter what I've done, I've also done a backer kit crowdfund for my kids book. I have a spinoff series. Well, it's not really a spinoff. It's a kid's actual board book, Muppet Babyizing my characters. And it's, I tried doing one of the, like a backer kit crowdfund, which did well. I mean, I would say it probably, but for the kids book, it did just as good as it did on Kickstarter.
Right.
So, I mean, if I were to test something over there for comics, I can't attest to say, oh, well, that's going to be as good as Kickstarter or as good as Indiegogo. I just know right now that like my experience with Kickstarters, I always get way more backers versus like the little bit of backers that I've had on Indiegogo. The backer kit way, I can't imagine that I would move over all of my backers from Kickstarter, because like people, once they kind of get into a niche place that they buy at, that they're more comfortable instead of putting their credit card all over the place.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's kind of, you got to think about these different avenues as like people shop at different places.
Yeah.
Some, some spend more money in one than the other,
Yeah.
or it depends on how you built your audience, right? For me, I've been, ever since I came back to Kickstarter, it's Kickstarter. I got a Kickstarter. I'm at a con, but like I'm selling my book. You can get the next issue on Kickstarter. You know what I mean? So like a lot of my audience has been built up that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, for myself, like what I'm doing with the campaign I'm going to launch on Indiegogo is for Oswald, and basically it's just stuff that I've already done. So it's like a secondary campaign. So it's basically just a campaign offering up all my trades and maybe a few of the comics, and that's it. So it's basically I'm selling off stock. So I think it's good for secondary campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
There's another site called GoFundMe, which is a great site as well. I mean, you could not GoFundMe. It's
Fund My Comic.
Fund My Comic. Yes. Sorry about that, Luke.
I got you, Luke.
Yeah, no, thank you, Luke. But Fund My Comic. It's funny. I'm friends with the guy, and I like never use this platform. It's really awkward. But I eventually have to get on there and try it out. But again, I mean, I make my primary funds on Kickstarter. What I'm thinking is maybe one time to just do all three at the same time, and just like maybe I'll do like a cover for one and a cover for the other. You know what I mean? Do something.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to try that at some point, because I've seen guys do it, and I'm like, they'll raise most of their money typically on Kickstarter, but they might raise $2 or $3 grand on the other two platforms separately.
Yeah, again, the additional money, pre-order, you already have the funds to do what you're doing,
And the fulfilling, you're just doing it anyway. It's
right.
And what's nice too, depending on how you do your fulfillment, like what I did with my volume 2 when I did the Indiegogo for that, I use Backer Kit Pledge Manager to handle all of my rewards and all that stuff. I was able to import the list of people from my Indiegogo in demand for volume 2 into my Backer Kit Manager, all in one fulfillment. Didn't have to do two separate things.
The Indiegogo. Sorry if I'm asking too many questions, but you were saying about the in demand campaign. Would you have to? You can't like import the Kickstarter campaign into the Indiegogo, can you? You have to build a whole nother page and all that stuff, right?
You do have to build a whole nother page, but like I said, they just basically take the stats and then they it's two different styles of pages that they do. So they actually have to convert it.
Got it.
So you can't just say, I'm going to do this up front. You have to, so you build it like, basically I just mirrored everything from my Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And then I had them, once I said I was ready, I had them flip it to the in demand, and then just went live with it.
Yeah. Sorry to ask too many questions. I'm just green to all this, and it's like all.
We're here for.
Yeah, I know, but
That's why I'm asking you questions.
How does it work? You said that Indiegogo doesn't you get whatever money you get whatever money is pledged, regardless of if it hits your goal or not. How does that work? If
you pick the flexible funding,
there's two ways.
Right. So there's flexible funding, and what's the other one? It was just
all or nothing.
All or nothing, right? So all or nothing is like Kickstarter. You either make it or you don't. Flexible funding is like, okay, so you set the limit. I believe they have like on Kickstarter, you can put it for like $1 or $100, but on Indiegogo it has to be a minimum $500. But if you only raise $250 and you put it on flexible, you still get that money. You can just fulfill those rewards, and that's
okay.
it.
So
you're still stuck paying out. You have to make sure you actually are able to.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, how do they safeguard that sort of thing? Like, for
they just don't let you back if you don't ever fulfill.
Gotcha.
They're like, okay, you're not in good standing. Peace out.
Something like that is kind of interesting to me, just because I've done 4 campaigns now. Oh no,
right,
4 or 5, and most of them just kind of barely get by or barely squeak by, and one of them didn't make it. So I'm like, that's actually kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, because here's the thing: if you have backstock, that you just have, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's a good place to do a secondary campaign. So you're like, okay, you offer up your backstop, right?
Yes.
So because that's what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah.
Sounds like a good compliment, like after the Kickstarter, right? Because like if the Kickstarter means like your production goals, this is just like extra money, and you can just print up more copies as needed.
Right. Exactly. And you never know. I mean, you might hit on for some reason. You might hit on that platform.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. You never know what's going to happen.
Or you start to, if you do it more often, like if you do, let's say you do one every post Kickstarter, right? You're just building up another audience over there.
Yeah. That's it. Because I was like, on Kickstarter, I raised, anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000 right on Oswald. On Indiegogo, I was $500 to $1,000, right? But the way I looked at it was like it was just extra money.
Yeah, sounds like found money.
Yeah. But the only downside, and I don't even necessarily consider this a downside because I don't play into the politics of Kickstarters or comics. Indiegogo has become synonymously known with Comicsgate, which, I mean, I'm neither here nor there nor care about, whatever. I'm here for like stories, books. I'm trying to sell my stuff. I don't care what anybody's politics on all that is. Some people say, oh, well, that's a Comicsgate Pro platform. Well, I'm like, I don't care, whatever. I'm going to, that's why I put my volumes out there, because it was the additional money that helped pay for these expensive books, whatever. I feel like Michael, I'm like Michael Jordan in the sense that I don't care who's buying my shoes.
It's funny. It's like, is it even a thing anymore?
I remember it was a big thing like a few years ago. I don't even know anymore if it's still a thing. I'm just saying that if you go out there on Facebook and say you're putting out an Indiegogo, just be prepared that there might be that one guy who still cares.
Right, exactly. And they might have to be like, mind your P's and Q's, over there. Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is like this. I mean, I'm out there to sell books.
Because I don't know what, like when I'm at a comic shop selling to people who are there, or if I'm at like a Comic-Con selling to people who are there, I'm not asking them whether they're pro this or pro that. I don't give a shit. I'm telling them about my story, and if they dig it, cool. That, like, I'm here to sell stories and comics, and for the love of comics, and stories. Like, I don't care, obviously if they're a terrible person, that would suck, but that's none of my business. I don't care about their personal life so much. That's like, they're going to say, oh, this is, somebody's going to come down the line and be like, that guy's a, so-and-so. I'm like, I don't know him from nothing. He just bought a thing, and
it's like you're telling your story too. It's not like you're trying to like tailor a story to, somebody else's expectations. It's still the book that you put on every other platform. It's not like you're doing a different version.
Exactly. I don't need to know your politics on this and that. I'm here to sell stories. I'm here to entertain. I'm an entertainer. I'm here to dance like a monkey and go home.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Right? I mean, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to entertain you. I don't care about nothing else.
That's it. Oh, well, you do care about something else. You care about getting paid.
Well, right. But I mean, in general, like, I feel like if you get into the, the mess of things, that you're not getting paid then. You're just going to ostracize yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that goes with anything, especially if you like, Jeremy, the stuff you're doing into like, or we have no control. Once you go into a big publishing house and they print 50,000 or 100,000 copies of a book and it goes out there to the wide world, who the hell knows who's going to get it, right? So you can't let that stuff ever affect you. Just like, all right, it's in the world. That's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah. I mean, and if people strongly feel something about some way, you put it out to the world. Now it's the world's, right? Like, and they get, it has nothing to do with this. It's all about entertainment. We're here for fun.
Yep. Fun. Yes. Gotta love the comics. What is this? Sanders, what is
I mean, the karaoke part's not hard for me. I used to be a lead singer in a band, so
it?
I don't know if anybody wants to see me in a spandex onesie.
Or the go-go boots. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, does anybody have another question real quick? Rob?
Honestly, no. I don't have anything that I'm struggling with right now besides the fact that I wish that things would move faster, but I'm at the mercy of my artists.
It's tough. It's tough.
Just have to hire more of them, that's all.
Well,
Yeah.
I hire more for cover art, and then I'm stuck just sitting on cover art while I'm waiting for the pages to get done. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I know. I get to a point where it's like, I always tell my art. I have like one artist says, "Don't keep me waiting too long, because I'm going to spend your money on somebody else." The money I earmarked for you, I'm giving it to somebody else if you keep me waiting. So
I mean, that's a valid thing, That's,
yeah, I do it all the time. I get myself into trouble all the time. It's just like, okay, I can shift this here and here, and I'm gonna get this payment from Kickstarter over here. So, and then you always end up waiting an extra week or whatever. It's just like, it is what it is. Yeah.
Well, when you run as many campaigns as you do, you can do that.
Well, I mean, it is.
You can fund your funds.
How many are you guys up to in a year? Like, how many do you guys what's reasonable to pull off once you get into a rhythm?
Reasonable for a normal person is not a JD question. I do one a quarter generally. So I do 4 a year. I'm actually potentially could do 5 this year if the artists keep on pace, just because I have once with issue 4 of Snowpaw's done, I can then do a collected trade. So that throws in an extra one that I don't really have to do a lot of new art for.
Right.
But yeah, I typically do 4 a year. I try to rotate between, Nightwolf, Snowpaw, and the Wolfpack Pups. So, there's always one, and that's it. That was another reason why I wanted to do Snowpaw was I kept, it was I got to wait for this art for this book and I'm bored now. What do I want to do stuff. So I was like, hey, I'm going to, instead of working on one of my other pre-existing titles that I wanted to work on, I threw it out to my audience. Hey, would you like to see this, spin-off series done? And here we are.
I want to know what JD does. Yeah, the way you said it, like a normal person versus what JD does.
JD doesn't like to sleep.
Yeah. So for the Oswald Chronicles, I'm running probably anywhere from 7 to 8 campaigns a year. So typically the way it works is I'll finish a campaign, I'll send it to the printer, I'll get it back from the printer, I'll ship it out, then I'll start another campaign.
Yeah, it sounds like the dream, but it also sounds like it's...
The only reason I can do that is because I have backlogged maybe 300 or 400 pages.
Yeah, he's ahead of the game. Yeah, he's
wow.
so far in advance.
Right. So I have a backlog.
By backlog, you mean drawn and done?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot.
Sometimes the only portion I'm struggling with is because I letter my books. So sometimes I might only be 100 pages, but if I get in there, I can get it all done. But that's typically what it is for that one. And then I have, that's one account, and then through the other account, I'm looking from 4 to 6 other campaigns. So this is the Oswald Chronicles, and then there's Dreamweavers of Magi's Grace, which is 2 other books. And then eventually there's another series of books called Girls of Terra X, which is an adult book. Because there's a market for that. And that's just something we did back and that's something we did back in the day. In the 90s, we were just goofing around, and we did 3 issues. 2 of them came out. The third one we never put it out as a comic book, but it's something I'm going to eventually put out. So we'll see how that works out. But that's
the other thing too, is he has pre-existing things that from back in the day that now has never been on Kickstarter that he can put out there. Yes. So he's got stuff in the pocket that he's like, you get a campaign, you get a campaign.
Yeah. If I can, one more question. You just triggered something that I had. So, what I guess like when you do like your initial like branding or whatever, like your first book is, how do you then like branch out into like other genres that might be like kind of completely different from what you do? For example, like if you do kind of like a traditional story, and then maybe like a spicy adult title, and then maybe like you talked about like a kid's book, right? Like, I mean, is it really like you just start and build 3 different audiences? Because I'd imagine a kid's book and an adult have no crossover at all. So it is 3 different audiences?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I would even say each book, like, so for example, with me, I have 2 werewolf books. Actually, I have 3 if you count the kids' book. Nightwolf and Snowpaw. Nightwolf is a more darker urban fantasy horror drama, if you will, whereas like Snowpaw is more of a 19th century time period fantasy that has more like fantasy creatures. So like there's only half of my audience crosses over. And I have 2 different art teams. Some like the art from one, some like the art from another, some like the story from one, some like the story or other. And then there's that 50% that just take them both. They like them both. And then I have like the kids book, obviously. I have my diehard fans that really want to support me, or that have kids, or that they just like the characters, whatever. But that's a lot harder of an audience to go for sure.
I have heard that. That's something. I mean, again, in terms of the stuff on my computer, I got a kid's book sitting there, but I don't think I've got like 10 of them. So like, I wonder, is it like worth the effort to try to go there for like one book?
Well, for kids books on Kickstarter, think about it. And this is something that I probably thought about later on and during the campaign, but like people are coming to Kickstarter for themselves, right? Adults. They're adults with credit cards buying stuff for themselves. They have the patience to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Kids don't have a credit card. 2, don't have patience and want immediate gratification. So if you're buying a book for a kid, say, "Oh, hey, Tommy, do you like this? Okay, well, we'll get this for you. Where's my book?" You know what I mean? So like that's a harder thing. That's a harder sell that to wait like 3 to 6 months for a kid's book when they can immediately go and get a $5 book at the store, or you know what I mean, like right now.
And the way you said that too, you kind of triggered another thought, and that's that like with a kid, you've got to cut through all the stuff that they're inundated with advertising stuff anyway, because the kid's going to want a Super Mario book because they've seen like 50 Super Mario books. So you've got to really have something that, I guess, cuts through all that. But so I guess, okay.
Yeah. I mean, for myself, like I've spoken to Daphne and we've looked at the analytics. Okay, between the 2 of us. So I do pretty much 7 to 8 campaigns on Oswald. Tall Tales, which is a book we do together, we're running 2 to 3 a year probably. And then she does her own book, which is Ego Raven, which is currently running, so go check it out. So between those 3, currently we're running at about a 40% overlay between all 3 of them. So that's where the 3 circles meet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much it. And she says there's a bigger overlay between Tall Tales and Oswald and less with Ego Raven. But there is some traction between the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm doing with Magi's Grace and Dreamweavers, I haven't done that look yet, but I'm pretty sure it's much less as far as crossover, because those 2 books.
You also have different campaigns too. Like
they're different kinds of campaigns with different accounts. Yeah. So but I mean, there will be some crossover, but probably not a lot. And here's the other thing though. I would tell any creator, create what you want to create, and don't be afraid of not pigeonholing yourself. Don't say like, I'm just going to do horror, I'm just going to do science fiction, I'm just going to do this. No, do what you want to create. You understand? Don't worry too much about market. I mean, look, if you just want to sell product, knock yourself out. Do whatever you want to do. You understand? Yeah. But before you do that, I would tell you to get into real estate. Just don't do it. If you're just here for money, just go sell real estate, go into the stock market, go Bitcoin, whatever. There's a lot of other places to make a lot more money.
Yeah. Do what you love.
Right. Right, but if you're gonna do something, do what you like. You know, if you want to do a kids book, do a kids book. What's the big deal? You understand? Yeah, you're not gonna get rich at it, but you're probably not gonna get rich at it doing any of this stuff. So it's just like,
Right, exactly, yeah. You know, and the kids book for me was one. It was inspired by my daughter because we were reading kids books, you know, and we're all in that same vein. And I'm like, I could write something better, you know. So also, and it was like one of those things where it's like I used like an example that something that happened during preschool with my daughter. I took that and made it the moral of the story. And so, you know, the fact that I was doing that for my daughter and for something that, you know, to say, hey, Daddy made this for you. You know, so like that's something that was more for me than it was for like, you know, anything else.
Got it. Cool.
all right. Gentlemen, we made it. Yeah, right. Despite everything. So, you know, thank you so much for being here. Fred, Jeremy, you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Jeremy, please let us know where we can find you and your work, sir.
Yeah, so as you saw, my website is perilousadventurestudios.com. That's where you can buy any of my books. They're all there for sale. I'm on social media as at Jeremy Vinar, mostly Instagram. I do post on Facebook. I don't check it much, but I do post there. And I just started Blue Sky too, just to give that a shot. But yeah, that's it.
It's always good to post up somewhere, even if you just put your account, and if you don't do anything, at least somebody can't take your.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Now it like automatically posts everywhere. So I mostly post from Instagram, and it just sends it to the others. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Fred, where can we find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, you can find me at www.schwartzart-llc.com. That'll take you to all of my stuff. Like I said, Fisticuffs is currently on Kickstarter, and at Schwartzart LLC on Instagram, TikTok, X, Blue Sky, and Facebook.
Cool. Rob?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Beehive, TikTok, all those places at Lone Wolf Comics. I'm only active on 3 of them, though. I'll let you guess which ones. You can find me personally at Rob Multari on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. LoneWolfComics.com is my website. Nightwolf.lonewolfcomics.com will take you to the pre-order for Nightwolf issue 10, where you can also catch up on the rest of the series or grab one of those or both of these gorgeous pieces. You can also go to snowpaw.lonewolfcomics.com to go to the pre-launch page for Snowpaw issue 4.
All right, cool. And you can find me on the OswaldChronicles.com, 12talesonline.com, Kickstarter, mostly, especially on Kickstarter. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those different places. Blue Sky currently. Yes, really strange that one. So yeah, you can find me all those different places. But just remember, everybody, please go check out the show notes. Like I was saying earlier, go check them out. Everybody's links are in those show notes. Click on those links, pick up some of those books. All of these creators are doing great work. All of them are creating like just fantastic stuff. So go, please. They deserve your support. Go buy some books, and just don't forget, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.